Well, they disappeared. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream with the Iron City Paranormal guys that obviously have disappeared. Nope, Tableau. Tableau. We were practicing that before starting the live. So I have with me Derek and Dan and their
Hello.
newest member, Aaron from Iron City Paranormal. They are
Who is
at the.
regretting every decision she has ever made to this point.
Yep.
No comment.
Your entire
So-
life has led you to this, Aaron.
So if things get a little weird, let's just put it out there. We're drinking. So it's getting shit house talking about ghosts. So how y'all been, man? It's been a while since I talked to you guys.
Yeah,
Busy.
it's been a hot minute. It's been a minute, but we've been good. We've been busy.
I could tell. I've been following you. Well, been following Derek on Facebook, and it seems like every week you all were on a different show or different investigation. It was like you were going nonstop.
Yeah, it got to be a little bit too much, to be quite honest with you. So we scaled back a little bit this year, but no, it's been good. It's been a lot of good stuff.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with booming business, right?
Yeah, it has to be a business to be a booming business.
Keep doing your thing. Maybe I'll see you on Travel Channel or something.
Who knows? You never know.
And then they have Miss Erin, who has now joined their team. And how did you come to know these two wacky guys here?
I've actually known them for a very, very long time.
Oh,
Derek
bless
and I
your
grew
heart.
up next to each other. So I've known him since we were 4 years old, I think. And then we went to middle school and high school together, the three of us. So I've known them for a very long time. We reconnected a few years ago, ran into them at the Mars car cruise, I believe, and found out that they were doing the Iron City Paranormal stuff and kind of reconnected a couple times over the last couple of years. And now here we are.
So she's gotten to know you back when you were a little lad, probably not a very good little boy either.
I was a good kid. I mean,
He's
kind
a
of.
good kid.
He was.
Things changed, and
I
How
wasn't.
many 4-year-olds are bad?
it's a different bad, but it's fine.
It's a different bad. Yeah.
I was like Charlie Murphy said on the Chappelle Show. I was a habitual line stepper. I really was. They would tell me no, and I would be like, "Get my toe close to it, get my toe close to it." And then next thing I know, Granny's coming in with that switch, and didn't work out well for me. And then the next day, I'm trying again. I was an idiot. Never got the hint. So you all are at a special event this weekend in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
We are at the
Second annual.
the second Appalachian Paracon in Parkersburg, West Virginia. So
Any-
the Blennerhassett Hotel in Parkersburg is a hotel that broke ground in the late 1800s. It's gone over, been through quite a bit since 1800s. Have a lot of paranormal experiences here.
They kind of just recently opened it up to more of the paranormal community, though, with their ghost hunts and these kind of events. But there have been stories that dated back quite some time that they've shared. Employees have kind of shared with us and just the public in general. But we were lucky enough to be a part of the event last year and got some pretty cool stuff. So we presented today some of our findings from last year, and we're doing it again tomorrow. So that's been pretty cool to share what we came across, what we found, and kind of our takeaway from it. And tomorrow night we'll actually be investigating again.
So did you all do like a collab with any other investigation groups while they're at this convention? Anything like that?
Yeah, so the last year it was a much larger investigation. There was a lot more people involved with it, mostly from the public side. So there were several different teams that participated, as let's call it like
Guides.
wranglers, right?
Yeah.
So like we would set up it like equipment in different areas. the public group that was a little bit too large for the space. They would kind of, cycle throughout the building, meet up with the different paranormal teams in individual areas, share our equipment, share our practices, kind of get, start dipping their toes into the water with things. I think that while it was a good event, I think that this, the organizers saw an opportunity to maybe scale back a little bit on the total count of people that were involved, because at one time there was a room with probably 40 people in it, so it was very,
it was crammed. It was a lot.
yeah, it was very dense with, people that were very excited about investigating, which we're all for, but it kind of got to be too much. And, we were overwhelmed. I think the event coordinator was overwhelmed. I think the spirits were overwhelmed, and it kind of, plays into the fact that we didn't get a terrible amount of evidence last year.
At least not at first. I think as the night went on and people started tailing off, we were able to kind of go do our own thing.
Yep.
Things seemed to change, but at first, like Dan was saying, it was the only room that was 2 stories, and it was shoulder to shoulder, pretty much throughout. So it was a lot. It was kind of a lot to handle, but I think everybody had a good experience. But as far as the investigation goes, the evidence, it was kind of hard to decipher things. People could be talking in the background, or, hitting the wall accidentally, moving around, shuffling their feet, and it's just hard to tell. So we really had to discount a lot of things just because of the unknowns.
Yep.
So you answered kind of the question I was getting ready to ask. It's like, do more people, and even Aaron, you can chime in on this if you'd like, the more people that you have within an area that has activity, that does affect the energy, and probably spooks, so to speak, to not really want to interact. Is that fair enough to say, or is that maybe a speculation?
Everything's speculation.
I think that there are some situations that might be true, but like, you don't really know, right? You're not going to really know. I think more so it just becomes unclear what you're, like Derek's saying, like what you're hearing that you can verify as being something paranormal and what's just somebody hitting the wall accidentally. You just can't verify.
And obviously, I'm not saying what we do is special, but Derek and I, and more recently Aaron, like, we've spent a lot of time kind of honing our craft. Like, we have our ways of doing things, and we work well together as well as we do individually, right? So when you open it up to a much larger group, and like I said, it's no fault of anybody's, people are excited. They're very excited for the opportunities to come in with people that, for whatever it's worth, know what we're doing, as far as having a program, having a technique, having a style, and they're, biting at the bit, and understandably so, to have things happen, and as we know, by doing this, as long as we have, these things are not,
they're not monkeys.
They're not monkeys. They're not guaranteed to produce. So unfortunately, there's a part of investigating. It's a lot of waiting around, and whenever you're not used to that waiting around game, people get antsy. They start moving, they start fidgeting, they start making noise, they start talking to each other, and it's just all noise pollution, right? So it's a little difficult. So you got, like I said, I think it's going to be better this year, just because there's going to be less people. They're opening up the entire hotel, so there's not going to be anything off limits. Last year we were kind of like, guided towards certain areas of focus. This year we have full reign of the hotel, which is great. I think it's gonna reap some rewards as far as evidence is concerned, for sure.
So what are the biggest major claims that not only the patrons but also the employees have reported in this place?
There have been a few. One of them it's kind of dated back years before it was okay to talk about it, is a woman dressed in kind of an old period garb in the elevator. And one of the more well documented ones is a mailman that came in to deliver mail up to one of the upper floors. And he comes in, he rings the elevator, and a woman's in it, doesn't hold the door for him, and it goes up, and he just kind of brushes it off. No big deal. She's in a rush. He mentions it to one of the other employees at the time, and they're like, nobody else was even in the building. We're under construction. We're renovating. So that woman has been spotted in that elevator quite a few times. Some of the other ones was a notorious serial killer. I don't recall the name. Was it Eisler?
Yeah, something
Eisler,
Eisler. Yeah, I don't remember what his first name was, but yeah.
But he was in one of the rooms that he kind of evaded police at that point and stayed in the hotel here. Very Richard Ramirez-esque. And he stayed in that room, and he's been known to give off a more negative, aggressive vibe and just kind of feed off of energy and give people a negative sensation. And that would be in room 409, which is the room that we started in that I had mentioned before. It's 2 stories, so it's a bigger room. But he had stayed in there, and he was actually staying away from the cops because he had murdered quite a few people at that point in this area.
Was it the interstate killer Larry Eiler?
Eiler.
That's it.
That's
Yep.
exactly who it is. Yep.
I have the serial killer
Thanks, John.
encyclopedia on my phone because I
Nice.
like reading. I'm a true crime fan.
Nice.
So
Yep, that's
Yep.
exactly who it is.
he was Larry Idler, interstate killer. He was a hemophilic, amphiphilic serial killer. I can't say the word on YouTube because they'll get mad, but he had many arrests, countless murders. And it does say that he did have a stay at this hotel as he was hiding out from the police. So
Yeah, it sounds like he's, for one reason or another, stayed here. So why that is, we don't really know. But we did in that room get that voice, right? I mean, it was that like gruff sounding, just very, very like get out of this room kind of feel to it. And quite a few people in the room had felt it last year when we were there. So it's definitely something we'd want to revisit.
was it a heavy negative feeling when you all kind of felt like you were in his presence? Did it feel off at any? Because I've always heard people that have come into contact, like some people that have investigated the Gacy house, say it feels like somebody's just dropped a load of sandbags on top of you, and it's just heavy. Like you can't breathe.
Yeah, so I can tell you that I did not feel necessarily the heaviness.
Some of the guests did.
In 409, some of the guests did. I was more of the vibe of we just weren't welcome. They just didn't want us in their space, or he didn't. I don't know, right? So it was either multiple spirits or his spirit. I don't know. There was just a very strong sense of you're not supposed to be here. That's kind of the vibe that I got when we were there.
We never, what I had felt was somebody watching us, like just from behind closed doors, off away from people. But we never really were able to pinpoint who this was. We're only going off of previous stories at that point. And I mean, I know Erin can speak to those kind of sensations that she gets too, but it is hard to pinpoint those kinds of things and progress with those kinds of conversations, because if you're not wanted somewhere, they're not going to talk to you. They're not going to tell you who they are. And so that's kind of hard to do anything, especially with a group of 40 people, you said.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a large group. So it's hard to do anything with that at that point.
So, Erin, were you with them as they were in this particular room?
No, I was not with them at this, when they were there last year.
So the reason I ask is because that little bit I browsed over, he targeted women, mainly, as most serial killers do.
Yeah.
So you would think she would be a trigger object, a trigger. I'm sorry to call you an object. You're not an object, but just a trigger for him if you had her in that room, and it could put her in a very dangerous predicament,
I'd be interested to see the people that were in the room with you guys last year. How many to your point, like how many women versus men were feeling different things?
It actually was a lot of women that were telling us that they felt unwelcome. I mean, I know the group was pretty much split, right, from my recollection.
Yeah, if you look at the demographic of people interested in paranormal, it does lean more towards the female side.
It does.
You know, I think that, for a lack of a better explanation, I think that women are smarter than guys,
Well,
and
not
they're
to
willing to question.
No
things.
comment.
but also to caveat off of that and to add to it, it's been scientifically proven that women are more in tune with the spiritual side of things than what men are. They really,
Well,
really
women
are.
They can be more in tune with like just female intuition is like it's a real thing, right? Like women's intuition, and that ties directly into a lot of the paranormal stuff.
Like
So it
women
makes sense
have
that
more,
women have more.
like you're more in tune with spiritual vibrations and things of that nature, where we're like just dumb men. We're like, oh, what's that? You know, let's go towards it. Where a woman would be like, no, let's
Yeah,
not.
that is Derek. That is Derek.
I just think that it
gonna say
takes
no.
more effort for a man to be able to tune into that, right? For women, it may come a little bit more naturally. Men, it can too, very easily, but it just takes more effort to be able to learn how to tune into that.
Like this is what I've experienced. So not necessarily on the paranormal end, but I've had my stepmother who did not give birth to me, right? But she would randomly call me and would be like, "You okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm good." And she'd be like, "No, really, are you okay?" And really, I wasn't at the time, but somehow through the force, she would sense this. I could never explain it, but I would just get random texts, random calls. She's like, "I just had a feeling that something was off with you." And it's so strange.
I've heard that before. I mean, not the only tale that I've heard that a mother has had that sense that there was an issue, and
It's the only tale you've heard.
only story. Yes, tale. But no, I mean, it's not the only one, and there's definitely something to that. I think.
Not the only tale I've heard. Yeah.
Aaron, I think we're going to carry this from.
That's good. It's all good.
Hey, remember this? Tableau. Diboja. Shout out to Doka Ryan. He don't need my shout out. He's got way more followers than me and got way more money than I have, but still. But yeah, it's just always been weird because I had a lot of Wiccan friends growing up, and vast majority of them were female. And it was just something weird where I had Wiccan friends that were male, but the males never seemed to have that same aura around them that the females had. They just seemed to, I don't know, grasp things on a more logical level and would understand it without actually seeing it or anything. Like you've all heard my personal experience about the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to repeat that story unless Aaron wants to hear it, but would you like to hear it, Aaron? Okay.
Sure.
So I was living in a little town called Davis, North Carolina. You blink, you're through it. That's all I can say. It's very small. And I had just bought a double wide mobile home, and I had moved it down there, and I was gifted a piece of land, and it was back in the woods off the road. And nights I would be sitting in this place, and I would get knocks on my door. Well, I had friends at this time. I was in my 20s. And my friends were stupid, and they liked to play practical jokes. So I would get these knocks on my front door, open it, nobody's there. Then the knocks would be on my back door. And this would happen for 2 or 3 nights. Finally, one night, I had enough. It knocked on the front door, opened it, nobody there. I ran around to the back, nobody's there. So I go back towards the front of the house, and I hear the knock on the back door from the outside. I run to the back. And the storm door, which had that little hydraulic hinge thing on it that holds it, was closing. But nobody was there. And it was closing. So it freaked me out. But at no time did I feel in danger. I just felt like something was messing with me for some reason.
Yeah.
So one day I went to take my dog for a walk, and I had a black lab named Hannah, and I like to take her out to the shoreline by my place because she liked to go swimming and whatnot. So I took her down there, And I happened to look back in the woods a bit, and there was this old dilapidated graveyard that had been overgrown and all this stuff. There was Civil War veterans. There was a mother and her one infant and one toddler that died in a house fire. It was listed on their tombstone how they died. And 2 or 3 other people who I couldn't read because the gravestones were just so beyond repair. So I had one of my friends who was very heavy into Wiccan come out, and there was 2 of them, and they both told me the same thing. They said the spirits are at unrest because their graves had been disturbed. So I was new in that area, so they were quote unquote screwing with me to see how I would react. So one day, feeling like a complete lunatic, I walked through those woods and went to that graveyard, and I sat there for at least an hour and talked to nobody. I talked to the air. I talked at the gravestones. And guess what? Never happened again. Once I told them that they had nothing to fear from me, I was there in peace, and I just wanted to coexist with them. And after that, I never had another knock on my door. Nothing happened, anything. So for me, I was like, I was a skeptic at first, but after that, I became a believer, true believer in that, because those graves were in bad shape.
All it takes is that one moment, man, and seems to trigger something in people, and all of a sudden they believe, and they realize that there's something else out there, and
Yeah, because none of my friends had the balls to walk through those woods at night. Because I would literally have bears and stuff walk up in my front yard. I had all sorts of nature that would come up in my front yard. And I know the bear wasn't coming up, hey, I'm going to fuck with this guy tonight, so watch this. Knock on his door real quick and, back in the woods. Hey, boo-boo. It would just come over, knock on my door, looking for a picnic basket. But that truly made me a believer after that. As much as my friends thought I was crazy. I was like, you all didn't see what I seen, man. I said, a dude knocked on my door. I ran around the back. No way they would have had time to have hid back in the woods. And the door was closing as I got back there. So you explain to me what that was. Go ahead. I'm all ears, So nobody could.
Right.
And from that point on, I believe that sometimes spirits can get trapped here for whatever reason. And when you said that what you do, you all are nobodies, no. You are a bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. You are bridging those 2 dimensions. So what you're doing is not nothing.
Well, we appreciate that. I mean, obviously we think we're doing good, right? I mean, that's our goal with all of this, is to try to, who knows? Like, we try to do the right thing. It's just, we don't have the glitz and the glamour, right? I mean, we're not on TV. We don't have all that stuff, but that's okay with us. We don't want that. We want to try to be as unbiased and objective as we possibly can be whenever we look at the information that we're given, right? We don't want to, we're not in it for views. We're in it for, we talked earlier, Derek and I, when we were at dinner, like, I don't want to say science. I do want to say science, but we're in it for the pseudoscience, right? I mean, we want to try to be as clear cut as possible, so it's a challenge at times, right? Because we'll call it the industry, right? The industry is pushing towards, entertainment more than knowledge, So, and there's nothing. I don't want to say there's something wrong with that.
No, because that opens doors.
It
that
does.
opens doors to the rest of everybody to make it okay and acceptable.
Yeah, I mean,
but it also opens doors for your credibility to be damaged. Because I watched a live stream the other night where Jason Hawes, who I hadn't heard from in years, from Ghost Hunters, literally had to come on and explain away something that happened 10 years ago, the infamous pulling of Grant's coat.
Yep.
And he was never told about this. But And that's what led to Grant leaving the show. He come out and said this is where he had to come to Jesus with Grant, like, you got to go, man. I mean, our friendship can be here, but when you start allowing the production company and these studios to come in and say, hey, rig this up, because if you all show that this is a paranormal thing, that's bigger ratings for us and more money in our pocket. And when it gets found out, it's not going to damage the studio. It's going to damage you and her all together. And your credibility is irreparable from that point. Like Jason Hawes currently has a new show on right now, and nobody barely pays any mind to it because of the damage that was done, because they allowed somebody to create evidence instead of authentic evidence.
Yeah, and to that extent, right? So one of the things that we have been trying to do more recently is work directly with people that truly need help in life, right? They're looking for an outlet to help them not only understand the things they've been experiencing, but also take it that extra step and make it more manageable for them, right? Like, I think knowledge is power, and that's quite a bit of what we do, right now. Is we are stronger the more that we know, right? And weakness is shown by not knowing what's going on and feeling fear in things, right? So like I say, like one of the things that we have really been fortunate to do over the last 4 months, and Aaron's been part of this, a very integral part of this, has been not to go to these places where we pay to go investigate. These individuals have reached out to us because they have no other way of dealing with the things that they're dealing with. They don't understand it. They're afraid of it.
We've even met some of those people today. I mean, they're all over, and there's the opportunity out there all over the place. So, hopefully that's the kind of route that we're trying to take here, just to help people.
Yeah. So we had an 85-year-old woman that was just the sweetest individual that I've met, in life outside of my own grandmother's. That her family reached out to us because, she was being tormented by spirits in her house. They weren't directly like touching her or, harming her or anything else, but she was just afraid to live in her house, and, we had the opportunity to go in there and to not only take the, they were, A, curious what it was, but also B, why is it her? Why is she, for lack of better terms, being targeted with this kind of stuff? So we had the chance to go in knowing what we've done over the last 7 years and kind of like, I want to say
apply it to that.
Yes,
I mean,
that's a really good way of putting it. Like we applied what we know about, what's going on, with this, whatever it is, like I say, pseudoscience that we deal with, and, put it to good use. And it was to the point where, we went in and very quickly identified what was going on. This poor woman, unbeknownst to her, she had mirrors.
Even before that, there was the times she thought that she was going crazy. She actually went to doctors.
True.
She had tests done on her head to make sure there wasn't anything wrong with her.
So she thought she was developing dementia, basically, is what she was thinking.
Well, yeah, she had to prove to herself that the things that she was experiencing wasn't her brain failing her,
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we had the opportunity to go in there and apply what we know, and came to a conclusion of what was possibly causing this. Gave her some actions to put into place, and really reinforced the fact that she's stronger than they are, right? That she needs to feel confident and strong in herself in order to combat what was going on. It was even to the point where this lady was sleeping with a putter next to her bed, like a golf putter. And when these spirits would wake her up in the middle of the night, and she would, in fear, clutch this putter and stand up and start swinging it at these things in her bedroom. I mean, that's not okay for us, right? Like, we don't want to hear that and say, yeah, keep swinging that putter. Like, we're gonna, try to get.
How scared do you have to be be able to have to hold this weapon in your hands and swipe at something that you can barely see and sense? And I can't imagine that fear in your own safe place. And that's where we wanted to come in and help out. I mean, she on top of all that, she had security cameras put up.
Mm-hmm.
We went in and we watched how many hours of footage of what she had to make sure that it wasn't a bug. It wasn't a wind pushing something over. And we saw things in her security footage that something pushed a bag off a table, and to be able to reinforce that and tell her, no, you're not crazy. These things are actually happening and we want to help you. That's where that led us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My biggest question is, was this entity or entities meaning to do her harm, or were they just trying to communicate with her in some way?
So, I mean, back to your mirror.
Yeah. So, I think Aaron and I picked up on it immediately when we walked into the bedroom. In her bedroom, there were 2 dressers, one on either side of her bed, and the bed was in the middle, and there was a dresser on the right with a mirror on the back of it, and there was a dresser on the left with a mirror on the back of it. And if you stood in the right place, it was creating an infinity mirror. So then at the foot of her bed, there was 2 sets of closets beside each other. Or there was a set of closets, 2 closets with a little gap between them, that she had a full length mirror that was aiming directly at her bed. So she had the 2 infinity mirrors, and facing each other, and she had the mirror at the foot of her bed that were shooting up, that was aiming up her bed. So she was.
It was facing that window too, Dan. So that was like also creating a reflective.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she was sleeping in the middle of what we called
crosshair.
Yeah. What we called it was, Spirit Grand Central Station. Like, these spirits had a free passageway in and out of this poor woman's bedroom, which is where she was seeing them most of the time. They were seen in other places in the house, but her primary interactions with them took place in the bedroom. It's like, what more vulnerability do you want than when you're in bed? You're not up going around, have like a quick exit or anything else. You are in bed. Like, that had to be terrible.
It's your safe place.
Yeah, it's supposed to be your safe place. And this poor lady was terrified, So here comes us, and we're able to, make her feel more confident and comfortable in her own home. And it went a long way, I think. And, Erin,
she did a lot of research into what could help. Yep. And we've been trying to gear things that way. And Aaron, I don't know if you want to talk about the crystals, the cleansing, any of that, but we've been kind of going that direction just in order to help. And that's kind of our hope with these kinds of things, is to just help somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did do a lot of research into like what tools we could give her that would be something that she would be comfortable being able to use herself. And a big thing that we use regularly ourselves are crystals. So we went and put together like a protective group of crystals. We cleansed them. We showed her what each of them were, told them what each meaning was, what each was going to help her do, how to utilize them correctly. And I mean, she started using them daily from what I remember, Derek, if that's right. And
yeah, that's what she was telling us. I mean, after we had our follow-up call, she said that she was using them every day, and it helped make her more comfortable, more confident. And really what we rely on a lot is our intent. And that's what we tried to pass along to her is this intent that she is in control. Mm-hmm. Not them.
Between that and we did our sound cleansing, so she had some sensitivities to certain things and some allergies, things that wouldn't allow for a traditional cleansing. So the guys were able to put together some different ways to facilitate a sound cleansing. We Dan was able to find some really good bells to leave at the house with her, and she
I mean,
cleansed
you
her
did a
home
lot of the research on
every,
the sound
every day.
cleansing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was another kind of wrench in the gears she gave to us. Was she has some pretty severe allergies, so our classical approach of saging the house wasn't even an option because this poor woman wouldn't have been able to breathe. So we did some research on, found out that sound cleansing is a thing and is as effective, if not more effective, than sage for cleansing a home. So, we went through the house and used bells that had meaning to us. They weren't just bells that we, drug out of the like Walmart shelf or something. Like they actually had meaning to us. They had positive energy behind them. And we cleansed the house. Even we said cleansing prayers all along the way.
And we've taken that a step further with other places, with other residences after that, because we felt so comfortable and confident in that. I think personally speaking, I like that a lot better than the sage. I mean, I think that it just results alone speak for themselves.
It's just weird.
Stinks.
Well, at the same time, too, it's like I have never heard of anybody with a sage allergy, because sage is like, I mean, you've read about it for thousands of years. It was used for a medicinal purpose because it's an antibacterial herb that bacteria can't exist on. So I have never really heard of anybody having an allergy to it.
I mean,
I think it was just like inhaling like smoke in general was going to agitate some of her medical stuff. We didn't want to put her in a situation where she'd be uncomfortable in her home in any way, so decided to defer to the sound. And that would be an easy thing too. If we left the bells with her, she can easily use that throughout her home to do a sound cleansing on her own without having, like, saging takes a lot of effort to light the sage and do everything that you need to do. It just takes a lot more effort than just being able to grab your set of bells and just do what you need to do.
To that point, she said a few times she actually got up out of bed when she was experiencing these things, grabbed her bell and just started waving them, and these things just stopped. They went away. Like eventually they were trained that this bell was her safety, and that pushed them out, pushed them away, and kind of kept her safe and gave her safe space back.
So this is for all three of you, and this goes back to the whole mirror thing, the infinity mirror. And for those that don't understand that, what is the theory behind the infinity mirror? Because I know when I've stood in them, you see just reflections of me for on and on and on and on and on. And there's a theory that you're staring at different versions of you existing within different multiverses, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of theories behind it, and we have experienced a few things before where they act more as gateways than anything. And I think that's exactly what we experienced here was opening up a gateway, opening up some rift, just some opening that allowed things to pass through. And that's exactly this was worst case scenario. You had crisscrossing mirrors, so you had every which way you turned was something. But yeah, that dates back to God. Beginning of humanity. I don't know the extent of it, but there's definitely, it transcends generations, it transcends religions. I mean, that goes through in everything. I don't know any religion that doesn't reflect on this, pun intended. Yeah, you're welcome.
You're an asshole. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and you all being from Pennsylvania, you should be able to correct me on this, but like with the Amish, I think the Amish are like totally against you taking pictures of them.
Yes.
Am I correct? Because they feel like you're trapping their soul within a image or something today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's, I mean, it's a good point, but and maybe a good crossover, but I don't think that that's the same necessarily. But yes, they do believe that, and they're not the only ones that believe that. But yeah, images are said to trap the soul in those kinds of cultures. But the mirrors themselves seem to thin the veil, as it were, to allow things to crisscross, to actually allow them to come through. And with these infinity mirrors, it just they we've experienced that how many times where we walk into a place and we're like, oh no, we're staying away from this place, this, or we're pulled towards it because we feel a stronger energy, a stronger sensation at that point.
Mhm.
See, I'm kind of superstitious with that. Like we have fairs over here. I won't go in a house of mirrors because of all the stories I've heard, because I don't want to like run into a doppelganger of myself or something. There's
Nobody-
there's enough John Evans to go around with just me. We don't need another, So, but I don't know. It's just something that when you hear enough stories, it makes you naturally kind of superstitious of it.
Mhm.
It does, and I think that I think there's reason for superstition, right? I
Yep.
mean, obviously, it's founded somewhere, and again, it comes back to intent, and that is a big word that we will use over and over and over again. Whether you're doing paranormal investigations or you're, interacting with people, if you intend to be an asshole, you're going to be an asshole. If you intend to bring bad things into your life, you're going to bring bad things into your life. Well, the same thing is true for doing paranormal investigation, teaching people about paranormal phenomenon. It's purely about intent, right? And I think that there's a lot of things that you can do with a mirror. I mean, there are theories, right? I mean, there are whole theories that are built on infinity mirrors and the passing of one light source over and over and over again, and the limitless passing of that light, and essentially what it does to what you consider reality, right? You don't know which reality is the correct reality, and that uncertainty and that limitlessness is what creates the opportunity for something to come forward, and essentially cross into another dimension, cross into another plane. That idea behind that is, very well, I don't want to say studied. It's because I don't know that it's ever been proven one way or another. Obviously, I
But shared.
could imagine it's
I
not.
mean, it's a
Right.
shared.
Right. It's a shared thing, and like Derek was saying, like it is a thing across so many religions, across so many different cultures. It's even in feng shui that you don't mount permanently affixed mirrors across from each other for more than, I think it's 30 days or something before you have to move them to a different location because of, the bad juju that brings into your life, right? So it's not something that.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, though, but it opens up things that
Yes.
could potentially be
It's
bad.
right. It's about
Right.
what are you allowing to happen, right? It's like if you allow your child to carry a glass of water around without a lid, and that child isn't aware of what happens when you tilt the glass a little bit, something's going to spill out. It's kind of the same concept. If you allow,
We all know that way too well.
yeah. I mean, if you play with fire, you're gonna get burned, right? It's the same kind of concept. So
Had friends that did that with Ouija boards.
Oh,
that's
don't-
why I
don't
won't
do
ever
that.
touch damn things.
Tried to tell them. I was like, hey, look, don't. Next day, they're like, so Adam stabbed himself in the leg with a pencil and don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
He like blacked out, but he still had his hand on the planchet. And they said he just reached over, grabbed the pencil, and stabbed himself in the thigh with it. And then he come out of whatever trance he was in. And it was like the Ace Ventura when he got shot with the arrows in both legs. He was like, ah, kind of deal. And they've not touched it since. But sometimes you got to learn the hard way. It's like, look, guys, if you don't understand this thing, don't play with it. It's not a toy. And even Luke, if he's watching right now, God bless you. He always says, "Oh, it's just a board game." Yes, it's made by Parker Brothers, but at the same time, this thing dates back hundreds of years ago, where medieval clerics and druids and whatnot were communicating with the dead, demon or otherwise, with this freaking thing. And if you have not the least bit of understanding of it, you could do yourself some really bad harm.
Yeah, and you know that it proves time and time again. You know, whenever people start messing with that shit again, they play with fire, they're gonna get burned. You know, it's not to say it's not to say everybody that touches a planchette on an Ouija board is gonna, have a demon come into their life or a bad energy come into their life. But why would you try? Why?
If there's the slightest percentage, I mean,
right,
exactly what you say about the Dybbuk box.
Exactly. Why put that out into the world that you're willing to try?
So I'm going to introduce you all to Mr. Lopaka here on the on Hawaii. I've been meaning to do it forever, but damn it, I'm going to send him your all's email and put you all in contact with him. So he's like our resident, know all about all the lore and hauntings and everything that goes on these islands here in Hawaii. And even he said to me, because I interviewed him once. I'll share that interview with you. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
And he even said to me, he said, demons don't come to you as demons. They come to you what is most comfortable for you to look at.
We even today during the convention we've heard that. People have been talking about that time and time again.
Which he's of Japanese descent. They call him Oni, right? So he's like, I've had Oni come to me in the form of children trying to guide me somewhere. And the story he told was he was in the hospital and he was only like 15. And he had a young friend that had passed, and his grandmother was in the room with him, and his friend approached his bed and said, "Follow me. Grab my hand and follow me. Let's go play." And he went to go do it, and his grandmother stopped him and told him, "No, this Oni is trying to take you to the other side." Though she didn't physically see it, she was aware enough that she believed her grandson, and she held him in the bed until this thing left him alone. It was super creepy. Just, it's like everybody thinks that a demon visiting is going to come into this thing, but it's not necessarily that.
No, that's not the effective way of doing things, right? If they did that, you'd run the other way. But if they can gain your trust and get you to, believe they're good and essentially welcome them into your life, that's when they get you. Not to say that there's, I don't know how much I vouch. I would not vouch for the demons based in like the paranormal investigations that we've done. I think that it's a very, 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 very small percentage of things. I think there's more, ill-willed and ill-meaning spirits, negative spirits than there are demons. But, they exist. I don't know.
Well, I talked to you all on one of your investigations one time, and you all got a visit from the Hat Man. And those that don't know who the Hat Man is, imagine in the lore of it, it's like the Crooked Man from the Warrens investigation when they went to England for the Conjuring 2 movies based off of. It's kind of like the Crooked Man. But the Hat Man is associated with death, disease, different things. Anything bad has always been associated with that particular being, and it's been spoke about in literature forever and a day. And then when you all said that you kind of felt that you were in presence of that thing, I genuinely got concerned about you because I've read into this stuff because I'm a nerd about this kind of stuff. So, have you had any more run-ins?
Right? That's what we've what we've determined.
Yeah. No, we've run into some things that were, I don't want to call them questionable, but they were kind of brought to our attention after the fact from people in the know. There was probably something that, we're glad we didn't dig further into because there was potential for it to, cause some harm. But we've been fortunate with that.
Yeah, I mean, personally speaking, I don't think that we've come across anything that negative. And if it is the Hat Man, it was kind of in passing. In my mind, at least that's what I have to tell myself. Not that he's following me, but most of these things, even if they are negative, they're still where they are drawn to, whether it's these locations, these people, whatever it may be. So we're lucky enough that, and I say that lightly, but we're lucky enough that nothing's followed us or we've had attachments or anything like that. But yeah, there's always that possibility. Those kinds of things are always out there. We don't really know what we're talking to. There's no way of knowing that. We can guess. We can take these educated guesses, but it's at the end of the day, it's pseudoscience, and our guess is as good as yours. We can use the evidence that we have. We can use the experience that we have. But outside of that, I can just hope that we don't take anything home with us.
We hope that it's enough. Yeah. At the end of the day, we hope it's enough, right?
So, Aaron, I'm going to zero in on you for a minute because I've asked these two handsome young gentlemen here in the past what was their first experience that led them into believing in the paranormal. So I want to know, what was your first experience that led you into believing in the paranormal?
Oh man, I don't
if
even
you don't
know.
mind sharing.
I don't even know if I remember my actual first experience. I've just always had experiences. Probably the most common experience I had whenever I was younger was my grandmother's house was haunted. And I would stay over there. She was a snowbird, so she would fly down to Florida in the winter and then come back over up in the summer. And when she was home in the summer, I'd stay over at her house all the time when I was younger. But she had 3 spirits in her house, a man and a woman, and then there was a thing that was downstairs. And so, I mean, I'd stay over there. That room that I stayed in was pretty active. The woman just repeated. There were hardwood floors upstairs. You would hear her walking up and down the hallway upstairs 2 or 3 in the morning. She'd walk up the hallway, walk downstairs, and then go back around. And I would wait for her to go back upstairs. And then I would run into my great-grandmother's room and go sleep in my great-grandmother's room, which I didn't hear anything there. And the man that lived there, he just, whenever you would come into the house, he would just be curious about you. But the thing that was downstairs was not a happy thing. I just didn't like going next to near the stairs to go downstairs. I was always very uncomfortable going down there. But I used to go play up in her attic all the time. And I'm pretty sure that the lady was up there with me all the time because I always felt like I was with somebody up there. But I mean, that was my entire childhood, hanging out at my grandma's house. I would always have experiences like that, but I've had experiences my entire life. So
you're naturally a sensitive then, a
Oh, yeah.
medium, so to speak.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, Aaron brings another level to our group, that we did not have previously, and it is paying dividends for us, because I'm slightly sensitive. Derek is spiritually stupid. Derek can't, Derek has. I'm working with him, and we've been working on getting him to be a little bit more into, to get away from the electronics and more into the experience, and to be focusing on the things around him, what the spirits are trying to tell him, and those kind of things. So he's getting better at it. I don't want to make it sound like he's, a lost cause as far as that's concerned.
But Dan, he's your Egon, and you're the Ray Spangler.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
Or the Ray Stantz, and he's your Egon. I'm sorry, my Ghostbuster fan card just got yanked for that. But he's your Egon Spangler, and you're the Ray Stantz.
It's okay. No, I knew what you meant. But it's the truth. And, that's why he has told me for years, because I don't do I don't write all of the blog posts and all of the, social media posts. Derek does all that. Derek listens to the evidence, No, he's the one putting the legwork in on the back end, But when we go into an investigation, prior to Aaron being with us, I was the one that ran the investigations. So he always called me the talent for whatever reason, but it worked, right? It worked, and we've had very good luck. But now that Aaron's with us, we're able to, I'm able to validate some of the things that I feel because the equipment doesn't do it, right? The equipment doesn't, tell
It
me.
only goes to a certain extent.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't tell me, like, just while we've been sitting here. I don't, like, it was earlier. I'm sure, like, we could watch the playback, but I got a very severe chill when I was sitting here, and Derek saw me get a chill, and the K2 meter went off right when I got that, hard chill. So sometimes it does kind of correlate to what's going on, but having somebody like Aaron with us now,
it gives you somebody to bounce that off of.
Yeah, her and I are able to feed off of each other. Aaron works really well with Derek. We all kind of
mesh,
complement each other, in what we do. So it's actually, like I say,
especially when it comes to the residences, to the places that there's no written history on. There's nothing documented.
Where you're essentially useless.
Yes.
God, you two sound like an old married couple. I'm the one that does everything right.
Called that today.
Good Lord.
Rude.
Me rude.
So, Aaron, with your ability, when they're so far away from you and they sense stuff like that, can you still pick up on that energy through them from even being that far away?
I don't think that I'm tuned into it like that. I wish that I was sometimes, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. They're going to be doing the investigation down in West Virginia. I wasn't able to make it there for this weekend, so it'll be really interesting to see if we have anything whenever I'm all the way here and they're experiencing stuff there. We'll see how tomorrow night goes.
I want to get back to the mainland because I would love to go on one of your all's investigations. I'll be the camera guy and just document it for y'all. But that's the thing with me. I don't fear ghosts. I don't. I'm scared of spiders, snakes, heights, but not ghosts. I don't know why. They don't scare me because in my heart of hearts, there were just living people that just happened to.
And that's how we go into these things. We talk to them like they were people. Like we're going into their house. We're intruding on them. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were people. So we are just us. We come in as we are. Take us for what we are. And we actually think that we get more results because of that. Mm-hmm. We aren't coming in with the Zach Baggins ripping our shirts off and antagonizing these ghosts. And
excuse my language, but one of these days that cat's gonna get fucked up.
I think he already has, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's lost vision in one of his eyes, I believe.
Because he did that documentary of the demon house in
exactly
in Gary, Indiana.
Yep.
And he had himself. Aaron, have you ever seen that? It's on Amazon for free.
I'll have to go
watch it. It's called Demon House. So Zach Baggins, in all of his great intelligence, decides, well, we've heard all these stories about this demon screwing with his family and doing other things, and one of his cameramen even got possessed and was very violent with the rest of the crew. Oh, we'll just sweep that under the rug. Board me up in this house with this thing, and I'm going to be a douchebag to it for the remainder of the night. Well, as the night went on, you heard something growl in the distance, and you saw this misty thing come out of the wall. And from that point on, Zach Baggins has had to start wearing prism glasses because he can't see anymore. Wow. That thing took his sight because he was being a dick to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's about time something caught up to him, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's just an example of maybe the wrong way to do things. Yes. I think that there is a purpose of Zach Baggins in the world. I do believe that. I think that the entertainment side of.
But dude, I see them on YouTube all the freaking time. All these little startup paranormal investigators, and they go in and they're trying to be all, I'm tough. I'm a Chad and all that bull crap. And
Well, that's the exact
sometimes,
problem with the entertainment value of it,
Mhm.
because people see that as the only side of it, and
Yeah.
that's where it ruins things for everybody else. I mean, we're trying to take this seriously. We're trying to dig into the past and help whoever may be out there, and then you have these people that come in and just they tear it back down.
yeah, so they can get likes and subscribes and whatever and views.
Yeah,
And
but hey, like I say, I mean, part of me doesn't like it because we can't do it, right?
Well,
mean,
that's
I would love
a
to make a
different side
living
of it, yeah.
ghost hunting. I would. I think it would be awesome, But the fact of the matter is, I can't, But when I say I think that there's some value to what they do, it is no longer taboo to talk about paranormal.
Sure.
If we were born
1700s, we'd
not
been,
even 50 years ago.
Yeah.
60 years
well, we
ago.
wouldn't have been burned at the stake then.
No, we wouldn't have been burned to the stake, but we would have been, essentially
locked up in
we would have been in loony bins. We would have been in mental facilities because we would have been speaking heresy, right? I mean, it was just
you probably still deal with that, especially with devout Christians. I've dealt with it, and my argument has always been the same. It's like, okay, you're Christian. You believe that Jesus walked the earth. He was the Son of God. He was crucified, and after 3 days, he rose from the dead, proving that there is life after death and there is forgiveness of sin.
Yep.
So if you believe that, then the theory and or pseudoscience or whatever you want to call it, actual legitimate science, as I like to call it, that spirits can still walk this plane of existence because sometimes shit happens and they don't know how to cross over, or they're not ready to let go, or they feel an attachment to something or somewhere. How can you disprove that when you are already accepting of the fact that a man rose from the dead after 3 days? You are contradicting not only your religion, but you're coming off as a hypocrite.
Yeah, Jesus was a zombie, right? I mean, for a period of time.
But as Sam Kinison said, he was the one zombie that had come out and scared the absolute shit out of everybody when he come walking like coming out with,
Yeah, no, and there is a misconception that ghost hunters don't believe in God. Absolutely I do. I look to him quite often to protect me whenever we do these things. Like we said prayers, not generic feel-good cleansing sayings. Like we said prayers when we do cleansings of houses. You know what I mean? Like we very much believe in a higher power. But I think that's why we do what we do. Because there is something better for them. They don't have to stay here and like live in this crazy hotel. It's a beautiful hotel, but it's crazy, right? I mean, why would you want to live here for the rest of your for the rest of time or whatever it is,
But what if that's their purgatory to have to exist within those walls?
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad purgatory. They do have robes that you can use. They don't fit me, but they
fit me.
They are one size fits all. But I can't it does not fit me.
Hey, if I was a ghost, that continental breakfast is fire in the robes.
Yeah,
we were looking into that. Don't worry.
Yeah, we get $10 off breakfast or brunch tomorrow for staying here tonight. So that's pretty awesome. It's not bad.
Ghosts are like, look, just look at this shit, man.
Yep.
Why I'm living it up.
Yep. Could be worse.
But that's just always been my theory, is sometimes they just get stuck in a place.
Mm-hmm.
Like a personal feeling of mine. So I lost my mother and my stepfather when I was 10 years old to a car accident at an intersection in Gates County. I don't know if Gates County was in North Carolina side or Virginia side, but I know that they were getting ready to cross the state border. And I, for the longest time, have been wanting to go to that intersection just to do a spirit box session and to see if my mother and my stepfather's spirit is trapped there,
Mm-hmm.
because it was such a traumatic thing that happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
because they were gone like that. They didn't know what hit them.
Right.
Thankfully, they
Thank
didn't
God, yeah.
suffer, but I've always wondered, are they trapped there because of that?
Whoa, sorry. Holy cow.
Gesundheit.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
I-
I did not. That was a terribly timed sneeze, and I apologize. That
No,
was
no worries.
I
But
appreciate you
just-
sharing that with us, because
I've just always had that curiosity to know, but I've never been brave enough to really, because I know if Paula Carroll, which was my mother, and Stanley Flint was to come through on that spirit box, I'd lose it.
Yeah.
I would lose it.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, how can I help you pass and get to the other side and not be stuck here?
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to rewind significantly to where you told us that you want to come to the mainland to do an investigation with us. I will also throw out there, if you want to fly us down to Hawaii, we will do an investigation down there.
We
You
can
know,
make it
so-
happen. There's plenty of places. Pally Road, I think it's called. Was like a lover's lane. There's a really bad story there. So we have what's called the night marchers here.
Oh, nice.
And you're not supposed to look at them at eye level. If you see them coming towards you, you're supposed to get down and put your head in the dirt and not make eye contact with them. To make eye contact with them is bad.
Oh,
So a female and a male were down at this particular area, and they were doing like most teenagers do. They were down at the end of this dirt road at the end, making out, doing what teenagers do. And they heard a noise, and he got out the car because they thought somebody was messing around. She heard a scuffle on the outside of the car. When she got out the car, he was hanging from above the car and had been disemboweled.
so let me rewind. You come here. I don't know if I want to get involved. If you don't mind, let's just do it up here. Go. Let's find a place. Just saying.
So Mr. Lodpaka told me where my apartment's at, where I'm broadcasting from you right now, is surrounded by. So you know how you have leprechauns and fairies and little people like that?
Mhm.
In Hawaii, they have what's called the Menehune.
Menehune.
And they are very troublesome little spirits that if you cross them in any way or don't pay respect to them, they're just the world's biggest trolls. They will make your life a living hell. So there's locals over here that sometimes will put bowls of rice and stuff out back of their house as offerings to the Menehune.
Interesting. They have a cool name, Menehune.
They look like these little tiny little pygmies.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they have a water company over here called Menehune, and I don't know if you could see him real well, but
Little bit.
That's him on the bottle. That's what he's supposed to look like.
Oh, so not the scale with the 5-gallon jug of water.
Yeah,
Yeah. Won't hold that against them.
but they're like little troublesome spirits that if you cross them, it's a wrap. They won't kill you. They'll just troll you. Things will be moved in your house. Things here and there. They'll bring bad luck to you. Like you'll start having financial troubles or different things like that. They're
Sure.
kind of like the fairies in Ireland, where everybody thinks of Tinkerbell and all that, and it's in no way that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Very meddlesome.
Yeah, so tomorrow's going to be interesting for us. I I'm hopeful that it's gonna go. Let's say I don't want to say better than last time because I don't want to discredit the time that we spent here last year. I'm hoping that things
Maybe they're more open to us, being that we've been here before.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a good thing that we've experienced in the past of reinvestigating locations. Where when we go back a third time, the spirits are familiar with us, so they're more willing to speak with us. I think that we're in for more of a treat, and I think that I don't know who's sharing it. Aaron, is that you?
No.
No, that's me.
Is that you, John?
So stuff that Derek sent to me earlier.
Yeah, so this is the stuff that we captured the last time we were here, and like I say, it was sparse because of extenuating circumstances. But we had a lot of what I would like to use a fishing term, right? A very light hit on the bait, right? So we put all this equipment out here, and typically what we see during larger public investigations with all the ruckus, the noise, the number of people, we see like timidness out of the spirits where they're not they're not going to hit hard, they're not going to take the bait, they're just going to nibble on it a little bit. So a lot of interactions with K2 meters, which is what's shown in this picture. There's a K2 meter leaning up against the pillow, the REM pod going off on the bed. There's a lot of that, right? There's a lot of, hey, we're interested, we're here,
Curiosity.
we're here, but we're really not gonna go too much further. And you can tell. I mean, there's two individuals standing in the picture across the room from us. They weren't part of our group.
I think there were also two others that were off screen as well.
Yeah.
So that was one of the room. I mean, that was just a hotel room. One king bed, and
that was 428.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, it was pretty packed for what it was, for the room that it was. But we did get some activity out of it. I mean, we were able to capture what we thought was a young girl here. And you can see we tried to map that SLS quite a few times, and we weren't able to. But whenever they were lighting up the K2 meter, when they were lighting up the REM pod, you could see this figure map there.
Yeah, right in here.
It was very interesting, kind of the timing of it all.
Yeah, so
this is clearly the person, I'm guessing, that was
Correct.
standing there. But
That's
this is not natural right here at the lampshade. You can't see it, but right above my arrow, that's not natural.
No, so we have the K2 meter on the bed. We have the REM pod that's sitting off frame. But initially, when we were in the moment looking at this, we had initially thought that this figure was being projected onto the lamp, right? And
that's what the Kinect does.
Yeah,
it's meant to. Its job is to map a figure.
Right.
Trying to do whatever it can to pinpoint these spots, these locations, and actually map a figure. We've seen it time and time again where we can take an empty chair, just sitting anywhere, and it'll try to map something, and it'll try to pinpoint something. But in this particular situation, like Dan's saying, we couldn't replicate this, so it wasn't the lamp that it was mapping.
No, it's not. It's the replication. Like it happened, and it didn't happen again. But it's also the fact that when we deal with the SLS camera, we're also looking for validation with other equipment. So this figure that looks like it was mapped standing on the table, I believe that it was actually mapping a figure standing on the bed, and because shortly, like seconds after this, if not a second after we mapped this figure, then our K2 meter started going off. Then we started getting hits on the Phasma box where they were answering questions. If we have that supporting evidence to suggest that that's not just a lamp, right? If we can get that lamp to wave at us, well, shit, I don't know a lamp that waves. You know,
No.
I haven't run into any of those. So like we're looking for that secondary validations, which we got specifically on this occasion. You know, shortly after the figure mapping, K2 meter goes off, Phasma box goes off, and then REM pod goes off, and the conversation that we were having in this room was they told us there were 3 individuals, which we did ask, you know, for them to validate how many people we were talking to in the room. They told us there were 3 people with us. We were picking up a child's voice, like a more high pitched type voice. Don't know if it's a boy or a girl. But then there were also 2 parent type figures that almost were like.
One was definitely came across as a parent. The other one could have been just something that was controlling, something that didn't want them to speak, something that was protecting them. We're not really sure what the third was, but it came across as a different personality at that point.
Well, I mean, when you even look at the picture, it looks like it's not. And I ain't got the best eyes in the world, hence I'm in glasses, but it looks like it's pulled further away from the lamp and is literally right there on the bed, almost over top of that K2 meter.
Yeah, it does. It does. And like I say, it was in the moment we were leaning more towards lamp, right? I love lamp. It could have been that, but it was once we started getting the hits on the K2 on the REM pod.
And then trying to duplicate that at different angles. It just wasn't mapping.
A lot of paranormal investigation is make it do it again. You know, if it's a false map, then it should do a false map again. You know, if it's an object that it's trying to map and force a figure, to Derek's point, then it should do it again. But in this instance, and a lot of times we can get it to do that. You know, we can go to the same location we were standing at before and shoot the chair, and it's going to do it again. This instance was not one of those. So we do believe that there's, you know, some entities or spirits or whatever you want to call them in this room. I don't know if we're going to get the chance to do that room tomorrow, because that room was occupied by the woman that puts on this event. She was kind enough. She kind of sensed that we were getting
overwhelmed.
Not overwhelmed. I don't think we were overwhelmed. We're kind of disappointed by the fact that we weren't getting anything. And she, you know, has even stated to us this year, you know, she really likes the way that we go about handling investigations and, you know, document things and try to rule out, you know, the oddities and like the weird camera glitches and things. Like, she likes our investigation style. So she's like, you know, here's an opportunity. This was her bedroom. So she gave us the key to it so that we could go in there and kind of like separate ourselves a little bit from the group, so that we could start to actually get some good stuff. We had
from 40 to 8 people.
Yeah, we did. We did have a few people follow us in the room naturally, but that's when we started getting stuff, you know. And then, like as Derek said earlier, as the night tapered on, you know, the groups got smaller because the people that were thrill seekers, so to speak, they went to bed
or the bar,
you know. So we continued to do our thing. So this was after we identified that there was a child in the room. I got down on their level, which is something that I typically do when we're interacting with children, just to make sure that they understand that we're directly addressing them. You know, we're not overlooking them. I want to make sure that they understand that I'm engaged with them.
When it comes to children like this, we try to take a page out of our own books, because I know when Dan talks to his daughter, he gets down on her level. So it's a very similar situation, just like we're talking about earlier. You know, they were still people. You know, whoever this might have been, if they're a child stuck here, they were still a person. You know, so trying to speak with them, getting on their level, we believe helps tremendously.
Yeah. So when I got down on the floor, you can see the REM pod on the table next to me. That REM pod lit up. We also have audio recording of a knock Well, it was like what we would classify as a bang, right? So it was like one more sharp, louder, you know, noise, and then some smaller knocks or taps right after that. And that was in response to the fact that we asked if it was the child that was seen on the bed, if it was what was setting off the REM pod, and that was its way of acknowledging the fact that, you know, it was the child that we saw earlier that was setting off that REM pod. So again, this was in that 428, so this was in the private room.
Now, children's spirits tend to be more inquisitive, don't they, and curious about these.
Well, naturally, right? I mean,
Yeah, these different equipment that you're using, so they're going to interact with it way more than an adult spirit would.
You'll see in some of the other pictures that we actually get into that a little bit more, because they just like to play with some of the devices.
Mhm.
They like to light them up. They like to make them make noises, and that does seem to be a recurring theme or element to it. They're still kids. You know, they still like to play with things. And the more devices we can give them to play with that are going to change, that are going to light up, you know, the better.
Mhm.
I'm 48, and I still like to go be that guy that goes, "Oh, I'm not supposed to push that button. I'm gonna push it anyway."
Hell yeah, dude! I love pushing buttons.
I'm a child at heart.
Yes, this picture here was in the dry storage area down in the basement. Again, our attempt to separate ourselves from the larger group,
Which was done successfully.
It was
just-
very
just you
successful.
down there, right?
We were able to, you know, when we came out of the bedroom. I apologize. My allergies are just atrocious right now. My voice is going. But when we came down out of that room, you know, people got the scent and they were on us again. You know, so everybody's following us around. So I kind of ducked into this dry storage area. I kept seeing. I don't know if I saw things as much as I felt things. Kind of ducking in and out between these shelves.
The curiosity.
Yeah,
is
was.
What it seems.
Yeah, it was like something was watching, but not participating. And then we captured this on the SLS with it looks like half of a person. So
like they're peeking around the corner, basically.
Yeah, like they're sticking their nose out trying to see what the hell's going on. You know, we were not getting anything on the Phasma box and Spirit box we were running at the time. So we actually switched over and started to do. By this time, Derek and Jim that were with us, they were able to, you know, they found me in the dry storage area, and we all, like the three of us, started investigating together. So we switched over to the pendulum to try to give them a little bit of an easier way of interacting with us. Had some responses on the pendulum.
Right off the bat, I think we heard the word "better." Like we were told this is a better way to communicate.
Yeah, so it was like essentially their way of validating, right? Is, hey, you know, the path that you're on is making it easier for them. You know, we've had spirits at this location tell us that this is hard, you know, in response to using our equipment. You know, this is hard.
Which we can only imagine what that's like.
And then they told us to GTFO, right? Like, get the heck out of here. You know, they were not screwing around at that point. They're like, shit, the shit you're asking me to do is way too freaking difficult. Get the hell out of here, you know? So this is the kind of, these are the kind of interactions that we had last time where things were interested, but also very shy, you know? And I think this photo specifically just exemplifies that, right? This little boy or whatever it was. We think it was a boy after our discussions.
Listening to some of the recordings, it sounded like there was that man that almost followed us down or followed you in that area with a whisper of some sort, that gruff sounding voice. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as he started to address this child, whether it be a boy or a girl, that's when it peered around the corner and they started to interact a little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess you got to really look at it from their point of view. Is, say they died in the 1800s and all of a sudden they're still kind of stuck in their period, so to speak. And all of a sudden all these people come in holding these weird things in their hand. They're dressed in these weird looking clothes. To them, we're aliens. They don't know what we are. Especially for the more adult spirits, to the kids being inquisitive, they're like, "Ooh, this thing makes noise. Is this a toy? I've never seen anything like this."
Yeah.
Naturally inquisitive kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Like you say, as kids are,
And Aaron, yeah, I mean, I know you weren't here at any of these, but feel free to chime in what you see.
Yeah.
In some of these images.
Yeah, so this is just a picture that
It was a video originally.
yeah, but it furthers the conversation of things that are, nibbling on the bait, not taking the bait, right? That REM pod, the stronger the change in electromagnetic field that it senses around the antenna, the more lights light up, right? So if something's really going after it, and it's hitting hard on it, then all 4 lights will light up. You can see in this photo, we never got more than 1 light out of this one. That is to say that this spirit that was interacting with it was getting close to it, but also not close enough to really set it off. So again, there's just multiple examples of close, but not close enough, right? So these are the kind of things we're hoping to flush out.
That's that ball you used at Prospect Place now, the little glowy ball. Because that was what I was referring to before we started recording. Anybody's missed that live stream, go back and you can watch it. They did at Prospect Place because that place was hopping.
Yeah.
You all rolled that ball and it got rolled back to you in one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so that's the kind of interaction of something that's like really interested in talking, right? I mean, that there was making no mistake about it that whatever was in Prospect wanted to talk. These things were just testing the waters, dipping their toes in, right?
And I know that was 8 months ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the bedrooms you went into, I want to say you were communicating with one of the old slaves that was
right.
on the run from the bounty hunters.
That's right. Yep.
And you were communicating with them, and then there was a point where you went like completely white for a second, and you were like, "Dude, I just saw him standing outside this door."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you saw the full-bodied apparition of this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a white, if I remember correctly, there was a white mist figure standing right in the doorway behind Derek at the time, in the doorway when they were interacting with us. So yeah, I mean that again, that's an example of something that is not being shy.
It comes forward. It wants to be known.
Yeah, because they were, if I remember too, they were that particular spirit that night. And Aaron, you need to really go back and watch this. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It was luring Derek and Dan up to the watchtower to look out, because I'm guessing to this day those spirits are still looking for these bounty hunters to come up and get them. Like they're stuck in this time loop of some sort. Or it's just something. And there's a really spooky story to that they caught one of those bounty hunters, and it didn't go well for him.
Didn't end well for him.
Yeah. They enacted some vigilante justice on homeboy out in the barn.
Sure did.
They held a trial and an execution right there in that barn.
Yes, they did.
All at the same time.
So the story goes, right?
And to this day, a very ominous and malevolent spirit exists in that barn that they think is that bounty hunter. So, that's stuff that my father has told me, because growing up around Ohio, he knew of Prospect Place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was like, they always used to hear stories about the bounty hunter ghost, not the runaway slave ghost. It was always about the evil bounty hunter ghost that roamed that property. So that's what I had always heard. And then you had Ghost Adventures try to say that Satanists had made a portal to hell upstairs and drawn pentagrams on the walls and all this other BS crap, and just trying to trying to add on to the lore of it to make more people watch the show
Right.
is basically what I got out of it.
That's the negative side of the entertainment value of it.
Because you all walked me through that whole place, and I didn't see pentagrams anywhere in that joint. So, just saying.
Yeah. Yep. That's the way the game is played, to be honest.
And the spirits that you encountered in there for me seemed to be very talkative, had a story to tell, and wanted to be heard, but in no way seemed to be negative or vengeful or spiteful or malevolent in any way.
No, they wanted to speak with us. They wanted to be known. That was pretty much the extent of what they wanted. It was nothing negative there.
But you're the guy that used to go on investigations with you that is no longer with you all now.
Mhm.
When he walked me into that barn, he kept telling me like, or not telling me, but he kept reference about, dude, it feels really heavy in here. Like I can't breathe in this barn. But once he would leave the barn, he was like, everything had lifted off of him. So I'm guessing all the negative that's associated with that particular place is all kind of contained within that particular area.
Yeah, that I agree with that. Is, you know, and Derek said earlier, like it's that place is not what I would call heavy, right? It's that barn can be, you know, depending on the time that you go over there. It
We've
changes.
never really had much occur there, though.
No, we have not had much occur there. It's more of those feelings, right? And I think that Jim had some more experiences in that barn than we had, even. So, not 100% sure.
But sometimes you could chalk those feelings up to, okay, I've heard the stories of the bad thing that happened here, and that can mess with your emotions going into a place of that being in the back of your mind that a guy got hung in here, you know, that happened, and that can give you a false sense of security, so to speak.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's hard to really validate that that's actually the entity bringing that heaviness on you, or are you bringing that heaviness onto yourself?
Yep.
Because you're thinking of those particular stories and things that happen there.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, that could really mess with your head at times.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And of course, we got the collage of little girls.
That one's for you.
It's a beautiful collage. Yeah, so you, to be honest with you, you're not going to see, you know, earth-shattering evidence in any of these because we just didn't get it, right? We just didn't
got a
get
little
it.
bit here and there, but that was it.
So I'm hoping that, you know, this next time around, tomorrow night, we're gonna expand upon this quite a bit more. So this was in room 428 when we asked how many spirits there were. We cannot hear the audio.
Dude, that's really clear, though, because I got noise-canceling headphones on right now. That's a clear 3.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's very clear.
Oh, what did I do? What did I do? Bring it back, John. Bring it back. You dummy. Oh, I lost it. Hold on. I shall bring it back. Okay. I guess I got to bring Gmail back to get it back again. Sorry about that. And open. And open. And
I haven't seen that KG off in a while.
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't really done much of anything back there, I don't think.
Mm-mm. It was for a little bit, but it hasn't been going off recently.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
There we go. John got it back. Okay, got it. Yes, got it. All right. So these are all your recordings of EVPs, I'm Yes.
Yeah, well, they're not EVPs, but they're from like our Phasma box and our Spirit box.
So that was the bang right at the beginning there.
Yeah, John, we cannot hear any audio. I don't know if there's something you can do on your side to make it so we can hear it.
I mean, if you can hear it, by all means.
Yeah, I can hear it fine, but I don't want you all not be able to hear it. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? Okie doke.
It's all right. I mean, we'll be, we'll be, like I said, there's nothing extraordinary in there. And to be perfectly honest with you, John, Derek and I are burning out. We've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning, and it's going on 11 o'clock. So we're, I don't want to, drag it on much more long.
Oh, you're starting to party crash now.
We are, and I do apologize. We had to get up very early this morning, get on the road, and come down here and set up for the convention, and then do presentation. Yeah, it's been a long day.
So hey, gang, any of y'all that watched this, when I first got on here with them, I had Stuntman there jumping out of his chair, drinking beer from his water bottle.
Yep.
And they were just wired and ready to go. And now they're like, now I'm starting to get tired.
We're exhausted. It caught up with us. And Erin actually texted us on the side. She's like, hey, you guys are really winding down here. Like, she noticed it as well.
Well, I don't want you all to pass out and go night-night on my live stream.
Oh, no, it's all good. We got to get up tomorrow morning and start all over again. So we have the convention first thing tomorrow morning. We have another presentation to give. And then tomorrow night's the investigation. So it's going to be another long day tomorrow.
And
but
we'd be more than happy to share with you anything we find this time around. It'll just
send it to me, and I'll do a collage video. I'll edit it up all nice for y'all.
Hell yeah. That'd be awesome.
That way you can share it on your website and share it through my YouTube or your YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, all of the above, right? I mean, the more eyes on this shit and the more ears on this shit, the better. So, I mean, we're all for it.
And I'll do my best to narrate it somehow.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Anything you can give to us.
Like give me just a rough description of certain things. I might text you or message you on Facebook and be like, hey, I got this clip. Just kind of give me a rundown of what's happening, and I'll narrate it before I push play on it or something.
Cool, yeah. We can do that.
Kind of like a Nuke's Top 5, if you've ever seen those videos before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which some of his stuff, I will say, is bullshit.
Yeah, some of it's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that was fabricated. Like some girl twerking, and all of a sudden this ghoul looks around the corner like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
That's your brother in a mask. That's nothing more than your brother in a mask.
Oh, man. Well,
and Aaron, if you ever want to come on, just reach out, because I'd love to learn more about mediums and stuff, because that interests me very much. Because I'm pretty sure that can come at inopportune times. A spirit's like, hey, Aaron, I need you to pass this along to so and so. Please.
Absolutely. Please. Yeah.
Because I would love to know how you tune that out.
Yeah, it's a skill. It is a skill that you learn after.
You have to
not being able to tune it out sometimes. So
yeah, you learn. I'm sure you learned it out of necessity.
Yeah,
and I'm sure as a young kid, it had to scare the hell out of you, because it's like, am I schizophrenic all of a sudden? Am I hearing all these voices and everybody's wanting to come through all at one time?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a medium. Just to be clear, I'm not a medium. I'm just sensitive. And I'm not clairvoyant, so I don't hear voices. I just sense things. But everybody's got different sensitivities, and that's important to know too. That people sense things in different ways, right?
I'm sure that could still scare the hell out of you sometimes, or you're like,
yeah,
like, oh, hi, did see you standing there, but thanks for just walking right in.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, it has
'Cause
been a pleasure being on. This has been a lot of fun hearing you
Yeah,
guys
And
it's been fun.
chit chat.
And it's nice to meet a
for it.
fellow cat person.
Oh yes.
Been nice to meet.
Oh man.
Well,
And
John,
you two,
Yeah.
you two quit drinking liquor out of water bottles. It's made for water.
Well, we have to because we are completely out. We drank all of it. So we have no option other than to stop.
Fair.
Well, guys, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
And
John,
hey,
we really
Absolutely.
appreciate
It's a
you, man.
pleasure.
write or call sometime. I mean, I'm here. I miss you guys, and y'all don't never talk to me anymore. Well, Derek does. Derek talks to me all the time.
That's because
But-
Derek's our brawn.
Yeah.
He does all the legwork. We just look good.
You show up for the fun stuff.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Tableau.
Nah, John, thanks so much, man.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, guys,
All right.
as always, been an honor, a pleasure to have you on. Please come on more often when you can. I know you're truly busy right
For
now.
certain. For sure.
And it's been fun to watch you guys grow. Back when I first started talking to y'all, it was like little investigations here and there. And now every time I follow you all, it's like blowing up.
Yeah. No,
You know?
we appreciate you being part of the journey because it's been fun. It's
Yep.
been lots of fun.
And all you all out there that watched, I really do appreciate it, and would
Absolutely.
appreciate if you go down there and hit that little subscribe button, the hot duke, and the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up. Hell, you could thumbs down it. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings none. But
It'll hurt
you know,
mine though, so don't do that. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
wait, isn't it your time to shine here with your
Yeah, so
promo?
real quick plug here. Follow us on Instagram, Iron City Paranormal, all one word. Facebook, Iron City Paranormal, all with spaces between them, just normal English. We also have X /
Is that
old
what it's called?
old
I
Twitter
don't know what it's called.
is Iron Paranormal. Follow along. We have a website as well, ironcityparanormal.org.
That's the main one.
That's where we dump all of our raw evidence, unfiltered, untouched, unedited in every extent of the word. We want to get extra eyes and ears on things. So you'll find some really long video or some really long recordings that have absolutely nothing in them. That's by design, right? So we want you to listen to things. We want you to offer what you think you hear, because it helps us hear things as well.
and if you want to find their website quick, just go to fiendishfantasyproductionsllc.com, go to the drop-down menu, and it says Iron City Paranormal. Click on it, bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle, and you're in their website.
We appreciate that very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We really do.
And I do have a little blog place where I share all your all's investigations at, too.
Oh, thank you very much for that. We really do appreciate
links,
that.
that links directly into your website as well.
That's awesome. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Not
Thanks.
a
Like I said,
problem.
thanks for being part of our group. We really
Yeah,
are.
we appreciate it.
So we appreciate it very much.
But guys, it's been fun, been a pleasure. You all go get night-night, so Erin doesn't have to text and be like, "Go your asses to sleep."
Oh my
So she-
God, yeah.
So she doesn't have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's playing Mama Bear.
Yeah, she's not having the mama hen you all and be like, "Hey, go your big asses to sleep."
It's already happening.
Because you got a
So-
big.
Did you have to throw
baby.
big in there? Because you just have said asses. You didn't have to say big asses. Come on.
I got a big ass too.
Yeah, not as big as you used to, I guess, right?
It's still cuddly.
Yeah, no worries.
It's not twerk worthy yet.
Nah.
That's coming when funds get short. I will start an OnlyFans called This Little Piggy. I will squish stuff between my toes for the right amount of money, but I'm not doing gross stuff like dog doo doo or anything like that. It's got to be food items. Let's stay classy, people.
At least to start. I mean, you gotta have something, right?
Well, I just got to put that out there because there are sickos in the world.
Hell yeah.
I'll do peanut butter and jelly or Nutella or whatever. That's about as far as I'll go.
That's fair.
So keep a
That's
lookout
fair.
for it. This Little Piggy. All right, guys.
All right,
Y'all
man.
go
We'll take care.
get you some rest. Pray for
Thanks,
no
man.
hangovers tomorrow.
Oh,
Aaron,
no,
it was
we're
a
good.
true
We're
honor to
troopers.
meet
We're
you.
good.
It was nice to meet you.
Aaron,
Thanks
so much.
thanks
It was
for
good seeing you.
Thanks
Good
for
seeing you
making
guys
me
too.
drink. And they're not a sponsor, but if you all want a good IPA, Bat Squatch. It's got really cool artwork on the front. It's really good IPA from Rogue. It's got a little bitterness on the back end, but it's good. But you guys
All
take
right,
care. Have fun. Been an honor again, Aaron. And as always, guys, thank you for joining us here on another live stream of Behind the Fiends.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
We
guys.
out.
Take care, guys.
Bye.